Good evening. Welcome to the 2022 League of Women Voters Candidates Forum for Prince George's County Council at Large seat. I am Gloria Johnson, elected co-president of the League of Women Voters in our most recent election. I have the distinct pleasure of serving as your moderator this evening. The League of Women Voters is a nonpartisan political organization of women and men that encourages informed and active participation in government, work to increase understanding of major public policy issues, and influences public policy through education and advocacy. The League of Women Voters of Prince George's County, Maryland, was actually founded in 1921, one of the first local leagues in the United States. You too can be a member of the League of Women Voters. We have both male and female members. Membership information can be found on our website, and anyone who might be interested in becoming a member should inquire. You will have the pleasure this evening of hearing from candidates shortly, but first I will introduce them and review the rules that each of them was asked to execute, acknowledging their agreement to be bound. I hereby introduce you to the candidates for at-large in Prince George's County. At-large council, thank you. The first in alphabetical order is Anthony, Rudy D. Anthony, followed by Elira, Sam Elira Jr. Leo Baki. And you'll straighten me out on how to pronounce your name. I'm very sorry.
Leo Yumbo.
Leo Yumbo. Thank you, sir. Followed by Franklin, Mel Franklin, followed by Mr. Frazier, Stanford Frazier, and Mr. Hawkins, Calvin Hawkins Jr., and Mr. White, Jonathan White. Tonight, we will have the pleasure of asking questions, and through the answers, we will receive what we believe to be an essential part of the process of voter education. Each candidate received an emailed message, which they were asked to acknowledge by signing that they will be bound by the following rules. Each candidate will be given a 2-minute uninterrupted opening opportunity. Questions during the forum will be presented to the candidate by the moderator only. There is no open mic. Questions will be general and applicable to all members of the forum panel. Each candidate will be given 60 seconds to respond to the questions presented by the moderator. The timekeeper will signal when 15 seconds are left, and when a stop sign is raised, I ask that you stop speaking. You can finish your sentence, but don't make another 3-minute speech. Okay. If a candidate is absent, his or her chair will remain empty, but if they come in, they will be permitted to start where we are at that particular point. Candidates are welcome to wear small badges signifying their name and office sought, but may not flash signs or banners during the forum. There will be no interchange. This is not a debate. At the end of the forum, there will also be an opportunity for each candidate present to present a closing remark that will not exceed 1 minute. They were asked to prepare both a 2-minute opening and a 1-minute closing in advance to optimize this opportunity to present their views and plans. At this point, I am going to start with Mr. Anthony, who will be giving us an opening statement. Mr. Anthony?
Good evening, everyone.
I'm Rudy D. Anthony, and I'm running to be your next county council member at large. I'm a single father, Marine Corps veteran, cybersecurity engineer. I've worked in cyber policy and engineering for the past 14 years as part of the federal government. Grew up in Temple Hills, moved later on to Bowie, Maryland, where I purchased my first home where me and my daughter and dog live. Now you wonder why I'm running for county council? It's because from living here as a young boy and growing into a man, starting his own family, I see one thing that has happened in this county, and that is quality of life has gone down. And I hate to be a pessimist, but it's just a fact. The schools aren't the same. There's more crime than when I was young. And, I think that we shouldn't sit around and wait for a solution to be had for us. Sometimes you have to acknowledge where there are problems and be the change you seek. I have plenty of plans and opportunities. Um, plans and ideas that can make this county great. Again, I work in cyber engineering, so I have 21st century vision for what our workforce should look like. We sit here at the seat of the federal government and we can develop that workforce right here. Again, because you want to give people jobs and opportunity to be able to live here. We pay some of the highest taxes here in this county. So you have to understand the opportunities to be a home buyer are limited. And some of these issues are what point to why we have a declining way of life here. And I seek to change that. Thank you.
I think you might want to unmute, Miss Johnson. Want to unmute?
Mr. Alira, is he on the platform? All right. I thought he was here earlier. Perhaps he has left. If he returns, then we can get to him. Mr. Iyumba?
Yes, thank you
Would
very
you pronounce your name again?
Ayumbo, you got it right.
Okay, great. Thank you.
Yes, thank you very much, Miss Johnson, and thank the League of the Women Voters for having us. Thank you to my fellow candidates for participating in this forum. My name is Leo B. Ayumbo, and I'm running for County Council at large. I'm a proud graduate of Southern High School, class of 1990. I'm a father. I'm a businessman. I'm a clinician, OD eye doctor. I'm a professor at Howard University. I teach research methods on biostatistics. I'm an academician. I've written about 12 peer-reviewed articles. I'm an author. I've written 4 books. I'm a healthcare executive. I'm an education executive. I'm an international development expert, a Catholic, and a 4th degree in Master Columbus. Why am I running for council? I'm running for council because a lot of people in the county feel left behind. They feel that there's an absolute disconnect between the county council and the citizens of Prince George's County. A good example I will give is that right across next door to us in Montgomery County, rent is due on the 10th. In PG County, rent is due on the 5th. During this pandemic, why do we have to absolutely punish our citizens to pay rent with penalty when they should have been, at least the county should have been proactive in actually giving 5 more days for people to pay their rent? I'm the only candidate in this forum that actually has a platform for renters. I'm also running because a lot of people have complaints about, the school system. The PG County school system that I'm a proud graduate of is in a state of total pandemonium. And please join me on July 19th in meeting some of these innovative and issues that we have facing this county during our election on July 19th. Join me at www.leoyumbo, Leo for vote for leoyumbo.com. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Mr. Franklin, your opening statement, please.
Yes, thank you. And I want to first thank the League of Women Voters of Prince George's County, both for your long history of informing voters about the issues that matter, but also for your leadership during such a time as this, where we have seen an historically awful ruling that has reduced the rights of women all across America. And we stand in solidarity with you, and we need your leadership now more than ever. It is a privilege to be among all of you for this forum. Good to be with my colleague, Council Chair Calvin Hawkins. Along with him, we serve as your county council at large members. I've had the privilege of serving on the county council for nearly 12 years, first as a District 9 representative for 8 years, and then as one of the 2 at-large members for nearly the last 4. I'm an attorney by trade and activist at heart. I have had the opportunity to serve in federal, state, and local government. And during my tenure in the county council, I have had the privilege of writing over 100 pieces of legislation that have gone into effect. I'm running for re-election because I believe we have unfinished business. I do believe we made progress. We during the Baker administration, we led the state for 6 straight years in job creation. We cut crime, particularly and including violent crime, by over 50% during those 8 years. So we made a lot of progress, but what we still see is the need for greater equity and greater opportunity for the residents of Prince George's County. And so I've offered an Empower Prince George's agenda. If you go to www.empowerprincegeorges.com, you can see policy ideas and proposals in 10 areas of our quality of life, everything ranging from economic equity and opportunity, educational investment, infrastructure investment, improving our environment, our roads, transit. There are a whole host of things we can do to take the great county we have and make it even greater. And I hope to do that along with my colleague, Council Chair Calvin Hawkins. So I look forward to tonight's conversation. I don't see the timer. Oh, I see the timer now.
Your time is out, sir. Thank
you.
Thank
you so much.
No problem. Mr. Frazier will follow him. Mr. Frazier.
I want to thank Gloria Johnson and the League of Women Voters for hosting this event tonight and allowing us to all speak to the voters and speak to the people. So my name is Stanford Frazier, and I'm running for county council at large. So who is Stanford? I grew up here in the county. When I was younger, my family, we lived in Riverdale, and now my parents live by Mitchellville Plaza right on Central Avenue. Myself, after school, I went to Howard for college when I got involved in the campaign to repeal the death penalty. And I'm very proud that Maryland repealed the death penalty in 2013. After Howard, I went to Harvard for law school, where I spent my 2nd and 3rd years representing low-income tenants and homeowners facing foreclosure. Because I remember how the foreclosure crisis hurt Prince George's County, created blight homes, and took a lot of people's wealth. And I said, when I became a lawyer, I wanted to use my skills to help those individuals. After law school, instead of joining a fancy law firm, I came back home to Prince George's County. And for the last 5 years, I've been working as a public defender. And now I want to be your advocate on the county council. I believe that together we can improve our schools by raising teacher pay and creating more community schools to address the needs outside of the classroom that really prevent our students from excelling. I believe that we can have better economic development, right, by focusing on smart growth and not promoting sprawl. I believe that we can have better transit by adding more pedestrian infrastructure, bike infrastructure, bus lanes, and better utilizing our metro stops to concentrate jobs there so that people can live, work, worship, and play here in the county. I'm excited to talk with you guys today, and I'm excited to hear from all these other candidates in this room. So thank you, and let's get the show started.
Thank you very much. Next, we'll have Mr. Hawkins.
Important conversation. It could not come at a better time as residents are going to the dropping their ballots in the mail, preparing for early voting, and then on election day. Over the last 3.5 years, my colleague and I, along with my colleagues on the council, our county executive, our state representatives, and federal colleagues have been working from 2018, 2019, from the sequestration that hit us with 60,000 federal employees who lived in Prince George's County. We had to respond to your neighbors. We worked with them while they were out of work, to support them financially, spiritually. And we also, as you know, have been dealing with the pandemic. COVID-19 has hit us at a time where we had to transform our entire government. We went from a meeting in person to virtual meetings and using all kind of social media efforts to inform our residents about what was going on. One gentleman spoke about rental assistance. We gave rental assistance to residents. We helped small businesses. We gave out grants to nonprofits. So we try to keep the county going. And with my colleagues and I, we're looking forward to helping continue to move Prince George's County. This is the first time in the history of Prince George's County where you have your federal, state, and local officials working together. When I traversed the 499 square miles of this county, talking to residents, talking to businesses, I hear their plea to continue to do what we're doing. The question becomes, who do you want the hands of your government in? And I believe Mel Franklin and I are moving this county in the right direction and look forward to your continued support. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. White? Mr. White, I think you're muted. No, we can't hear you. While he's getting his audio ready, Mr. Johnson, I'm going to go back to Mr. Elira. I see he has come onto the platform, and perhaps Mr. Johnson and Mimi, you can help Mr. White with his audio. We can't hear you either.
Are you speaking? Can you hear
Mr.
me?
Elira, it's your turn to do an opening statement.
Yes, can you hear me? Can you hear
Yes,
me?
I hear you now.
Okay. May I begin?
Yes, sir. Go right ahead.
Yes, thank you. I believe that was Ms. Johnson. Ms. Johnson, I appreciate the opportunity and appreciate the League of Women Voters for putting this forum together. My name is Sam E. Lyra. I am the candidate for county councilman at large for Prince George's County. I am a long life resident of Prince George's County. I am a product of Prince George's County Public Schools. I attended undergrad at the illustrious Bowie State University. I'm an attorney. I have a small law practice here in Bowie, Maryland, serving the community where we do a lot of general practice work that is criminal, business, family, personal injury type of matters. I tell people I'm not a politician. I'm a concerned resident, a concerned citizen of Prince George's County. This is a beautiful county. I love Prince George's County. I want to reside in Prince George's County. I want to buy and stay in Prince George's County. But I'm resolved, when I look around, I'm resolved that we can do a lot better. To be one of the richest counties in the country, the wealth is not expressed. When you look around in terms of the efficiency of our roads, they are terrible. The county and the state is not keeping up with the beautification in terms of grass is yay high all around the county. Property tax is a concern, one of the highest compared to that of our nearest counties. We need to lower property tax. There are other ways in which we can raise revenue, like investing in our small business owners, give incentives to other businesses to come invest here in Prince George's County so that our money can circulate in the county. What frustrates me is that when someone visits me, they say, well, take me somewhere to a nice restaurant or a venue. I have to go to a rental county, DC, Virginia, but we need the same businesses here in Prince George's County. The other thing that is concerning to me when I speak to residents of the county is that they do not feel like they have a voice. I don't feel like I have a voice, which is why I'm resolved to run for county office so that I can present that voice to the people. So take back the power, return it to the people where it belongs. So vote Samuel Lyra for county councilman at large. We just need to make a positive difference in the county.
Thank you, Mr. Lyra. Let's go back and see if Mr. White's audio has been turned on.
Yes, can you hear me?
Yes, sir, we can. Thank you so much.
Like I said, I'm sorry.
We're good.
I don't know what happened, but like I said, my name's Jonathan White. Thanks for having me. Thanks for all the candidates showing up. Like I said, I'm just concerned citizen. That's why I'm running. I care too much to stand back on the sidelines any longer. I aim to make people think differently about what it means to step up and take a stand. Sometimes if you want to make a change, you have to do it yourself. I'm a retired military, and my background is security. That comes from cybersecurity, personnel security, and all forms of security. I'm an active member of my community through coaching youth sports and serving on the board of my neighborhood security community. I'm seeking office because I enjoy helping people. I was raised to believe that serving the community as a politician is a way of giving back and being the voice of the community. However, I also believe that serving the community as a politician must be done in the right reasons. It should be viewed as a personal commitment to better the community, not to gain financial and professionally from it. Like I said, my main goal is to do something about our security for our residents. Crime is through the roof. If you look at the news, there's been a shooting or carjacking nearly every week for the past 20 weeks. And what's alarming, it's done by kids, and it's done by African American kids. And I just want to be an example, and maybe perform some outreach to maybe help these kids make a better choice and able to reduce the crime in our neighborhood. That's my only reason why I'm running. We can say what we want to do this, do that, but until crime is stabilized and under control, we can't. I don't see us moving forward. We have to really do something about crime in this neighborhood, in all neighborhoods. And that's about it. Thanks for having me, and I appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you all for your opening statements. I will repeat again that we are going in alphabetical order. And Mr. Elira, because you had the fortune of Mr. White's mic not working, you got a chance to make your opening statement. However, since you are the second person in the alphabet, you now have the chance to answer the first question. And the first question is one about development and land use. What changes, if any, are needed in the county's land use policies?
The land use, as I understand it, there in terms of zoning, there are certain restrictions that I think could lessen to where it can afford property building in terms of whether it's a residential. We need a multi-duplicity of certain developments that would assist with the cost of living issue. We need more apartment complexes, whether it's duplexes in the community. I think that would assist significantly. And for me, in terms of development, I think that what could help is have more malls in the county. That would have businesses come in that would generate revenue for the county. We have Landover Mall that's been sitting there for quite some time now. I think that we need to rejuvenate that area of the county, and I think that would do a lot good in terms of the economy.
All right. Thank you. Mr. Iyambo?
Thank you, Ms. Johnson. I think this is an area where we need to come back to basic transparency and make sure we have a need assessment plan to be able to make sure that we're getting the best use out of the land. And planning is key, because you can't just go out and put developments where you put them. So you have to work hand in hand with the planning commission to be able to utilize and get the best use out of public land. But keep in mind, we have to be able to manage the volume of people or the volume of development by increasing the infrastructure. And that is extremely important. And that's when planning commission comes in. And that's where a lot of other issues that the county has to work in partnership with, or the county council has to work in partnership with, to get the best use for public land. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Franklin?
Thank you so much for the question. We just got finished redoing our zoning ordinance, which are these are the laws that govern development and land use for the first time in over half a century. So we now have a new zoning ordinance that is going to help development move forward that is much more consistent with our 21st century economy. We do need to focus on the signature industries that Prince George's County needs to have. We are in the best place to invest in the best region in America. If you go to the Empower Prince George's agenda that I mentioned earlier, you'll see some strategies. First, we need to make it where development near our transit stations, mixed use, high density development, has automatic incentives. So if you know that you're developing there, we've said these are our priorities. That's where we want to see that economic development driven to, and that will improve retail. That will create even greater places to live, and it will make Prince George's County the kind of economic destination that we need to be. We have much to do. It's hard to say in 60 seconds, but the point is we need to have signature industries that we're leading the region in. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Franklin. Mr. Frazier.
Thank you so much for the question. I think one of the main things we need to do is get rid of text-based zoning amendments or greatly reduce their usage, because they're often used to create sprawl developments outside of our 2035 plan. And the problem with sprawl is we have to extend our policing services, our water lines, our electrical lines, and we're taking away resources from the already inhabited areas of our county. Instead, we can better utilize our Metro and MARC stations. You can go by Morgan Boulevard Metro, Greenbelt Metro Station, and you see a sea of surface parking lots. And that might be great outside of a mall, but that's poor use of the infrastructure that we have. We need to be focusing on mixed use development there, right? Transitory development there. And then we need to connect those, right? With bus lanes, sidewalks, and bike lanes. So people can either drive there, they could walk there, they could bike there. And that works in synergy with the type of businesses we want to bring in so that we can reduce the property tax burden by increasing the amount of commercial tax revenue we have in the county.
Thank you. Mr. Hawkins.
Ms. Johnson, this is an opportunity for citizens to go and look at what's going over at the new Carrollton Metro Station. Everything that Mr. Frazier referenced is going on over there because we understand the county council is one of its main responsibility is land use. As Mr. Franklin spoke about, we have changed in 50 years. No council could get the zoning ordinance up to speed for the 21st century, and we are there. So I'm grateful to say that because we're moving forward with our county executive and federal and state representatives, we are moving our land use to an area where transit development is taking place, and the citizens will see how this county government, along with this council, is working to use land use in a way that benefits the entire county. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Hawkins. Mr. White?
Can you hear me?
Yes, sir. Would you like me to repeat the question?
No, ma'am.
Thank you, sir.
Yes, ma'am, I'm ready. The county's land use plan must signify the vision and goals of the community and must focus on the actual and distinctive issues of our community that we are facing if you want citizens to support and comply with it. A community-led planning method produces an opportunity for everyone to take part in ways for everyone to be involved. Next, we need to incorporate green data centers in Prince George's County to increase revenue for the county. For example, if you look at our neighbors in Loudoun County, data centers are important to their Loudoun County economy. The industry is expected to generate $586 million in revenue for fiscal year 2022 alone, creating $11.50 in local tax revenue for every dollar of services provided. Prince George's County needs to take advantage of that. That money comes every first of the month. Like with the sprawling developments and mixed use plans, that's down the line, but we need some money now. Thank you.
Mr. Anthony.
I think we all can agree when we say we want to use land uses and zoning to create a 21st century environment and economy for the citizens of Prince George's. But I think one thing we haven't, any of the other candidates have touched on, is how we can use zoning and land development to attack crime. So one of the bigger issues that I heard while out here talking to other residents is they're tired of seeing the dirt bikes and the four-wheelers everywhere. Well, we can lean into the culture of the county and create areas for that. giving people something to do. Being as though that most of the crime is happening amongst youth 18 to 25, we can give them activity, not only creating jobs and opportunity, but also creating an idea beyond just that of a corporate vision. We also want to be able to have a quality of life, and I think we can use zoning in that way too. Thank you.
Thank you for your response. And now we'll go on to question number 2. Which is in the area of employment and jobs. What steps should the county government take to encourage economic development and job growth for Prince George's citizens? And the person who is going to answer question number 2 is Mr. Iyambo.
Thank you very much.
Sure.
Thank you very much, Ms. Johnson. And education is the key. As an educator myself and as a professor at Howard University, I think the educational system has to be revamped for the 21st century, I guess. And how would we do that? Look next door to Montgomery County. They have a FAST center that kids can go out there. They can learn Python. They can learn, they can learn SAS. These are educational tools that will give kids a better job. Cybersecurity, you don't even need a degree these days. You can get certified. You have a lot of certifications. You have CAMP certifications. All of these are ways for us to give our Prince Georgians the best way to be able to present themselves in an ever-changing world. And education is really the key for new development for our people. Thank you.
The next person to answer will be Mr. Franklin.
Thank you for the question. Council Chair Hawkins and I and other colleagues, a number of other colleagues have signed on to something called the Equity and Inclusion Agenda for our local business community, where we're focused on trying to make Prince George's County the small business and startup capital of the greater Washington region. We do that by addressing many of the challenges that many of our businesses face, like access to capital. We need a new small business grant and loan program, not just for COVID-19, but ongoing program to give access to capital. We need to increase the requirements that publicly subsidized development have to use in order to spend with our small and minority businesses based in the county. We also need to invest in the business of the 21st century, like biotech, like quantum computing. We need to create a program where we're specifically awarding tax incentives for businesses in those areas. That's how you start to take the lead. That's how you, even now, invest in our economy, even in a somewhat recessionary environment, so that when the upswing happens, we're growing jobs again.
Thank you. Mr. Frazier.
Thank you. This is a question that concerns residents throughout Prince George's County. I think one of the main things that we need to be focused on is improving our education system for the economy that we have. If you look at it, Maryland does a decent job of graduating people from high school, but after about 6 years, only about 35% of those high school graduates are going to have a 4-year college degree. So we need to make sure we're investing in technical education, making sure people can get trades, making people get certifications for the post-secondary employment that doesn't involve getting a college degree. In the area, as we've seen an increased amount of people working from home, we need to be talking to businesses that have invested in office space, and especially those businesses near, Metro or MARC stations, and saying, let's try to convert that office into housing, and then use a transit-oriented development process to maybe get some commercial there as well. So then you have areas where people want to congregate, and that's going to be good for our economic development as well. And then lastly, we need to raise teacher pay so we can recruit good teachers so we can have a world-class education system. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Hawkins?
Ms. Johnson, forgive me, could you repeat the question once?
Oh, yes, sir, absolutely. This is a question about employment and jobs. What steps should the county government take to encourage economic development and job growth?
Thank you. I believe we well on our way to meeting the answer to the question with our employment, Prince George's, and as Councilmember Mel Franklin spoke about. We're finding ways through legislative initiatives to bring more small businesses and larger corporations here with the intent on employing individuals from Prince George's County and ensuring at the end of the day like we've done over the last 3 years, we've made an economy worthy of individuals coming here and investing in Prince George's County. And that is our continued goal, to make certain that we continue to expand the economic employment opportunities for all of our residents. So Prince George's County will meet its promise of one of the greatest counties to live in. Thank you for the opportunity to answer that question.
Thank you for answering. Mr. White?
Yes, ma'am. Like I said earlier, data centers is the way that will increase our increase revenue for the county the quickest and fastest way. Data centers can be up in 4 to 6 months, and that money can be in our pocket by the end of the year. Next, like I said, I know we want businesses to come here, but until we fix crime, that affects a lot of things. No businesses want to come here if the crime is high, and carjackings are up. Gunshots nearly every day. We got to fix that. That's just honest. Just have to put it out there. We have to fix that before businesses will come. Like the movie says, in the movie Field of Dreams, if you build it, they will come. If we build a safe community, the businesses will come. Like, for example, a healthy grocery store. We can't get a healthy grocery store in our community because of crime. So we got to change that thing. Change it. Crime is the only solution. We fix crime, businesses will come. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Anthony, would you take the question next, please?
Yes. So you have to address education and training to create that new workforce. So again, in a 21st century ideal, I work in cyber, just like fellow candidate White. So he knows just as well as I do that sitting at the seat of federal government, there are thousands of cyber and IT jobs unfulfilled right here in the Washington area. And now with everyone working from home, what we need to be doing is training and educating our residents and our youth in these job fields. Why? These are the job fields that pay enough to live in the county where, let's just be clear, rent is way too damn high. And so we want to be able to give people the opportunity to live. That's how you cut down crime. This is how you create a more beautiful place to live where businesses want to come. So even those jobs that don't pay these great wages as they do in IT and cyber, you are still employing the rest of the county. And I think that's what we should do. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Olira? You're muted.
Sorry.
No problem, sir.
Yes, appreciate you. I was indicating that one way to promote job growth and economic development in the county is, one, by investing in our small businesses here in the county to ensure that these small businesses thrive, succeed, and able to continue to employ residents in the county. We have to also, I think, County Council Franklin indicated that they have an initiative where they're making capital more accessible, but I think that we need more resources in the county so that folks who wants to start a business can do so. And I think there's so many loops here in the county, I'll tell you, where it's difficult for business to operate in the county. When I speak to business owners, they tell me that, one inconsistency that we have in the county with respect to inspectors. One inspector may have one requirement, another have another requirement. So it confuses things, and I think that needs to be addressed. And then we have to also invest in other businesses to come and invest in Prince George's County by letting them know that, hey, if you come in the county, we will support you, and that, these businesses can then employ the residents. And I think that would, obviously do good in terms of job growth, because it makes no sense to have to go to outside the county to patronize other businesses. We need the same places here. I think that would do some good.
Thank you, sir. Question number 3 is very specific, and it is, are you familiar with the January 2020 recommendation of the County Environmental Justice Commission? If so, how do you plan to implement any of them? And question number 3 starts with Mr. Franklin.
Thank you. I'm not familiar with the recommendations. Would you care to share something further so I can more specifically?
Unfortunately, I'm not allowed to.
Okay,
Okay.
thanks.
All right. The next person to respond, Mr. Frazier. I'll
Thank you.
repeat the question.
Thank you.
Are you familiar with the January 2020 recommendation of the County Environmental Justice Commission? How would you plan to implement any of them?
I'm not familiar with that exact commission. I am familiar with the Climate Action Plan. I believe there was a briefing earlier this year in the County Council. And one of the things I want to do is help implement the Climate Action Plan. If you look at across America, in Maryland and in Prince George's County, transportation is now the largest source of greenhouse gases. And that's basically vehicles on the road. And most of the time, 93% of that almost is driving to work. So part of our economic development plan, having more jobs in the county, connecting us through bus lanes, bike lanes, sidewalks. Of course, people are going to drive. We want to give them other options so that we can reduce climate change. And then we need to make sure that we're not, on our land use development, I apologize, that we're following the Climate Action Plan by not building in flood zone areas. Thank you for the question.
Thank you for the answer. The next person to respond will be Mr. Hawkins, please. Shall I repeat the question?
No, I'm clear with what you're asking, Ms. Johnson.
Yes, sir.
I'm not familiar with it. I just wanted to say the Climate Action Plan that Mr. Stanford referenced was moved out of committee last week, so that's moving forward. But I'm not familiar with the plan, so I will be quiet at this time.
No problem, sir. Thank you so much. Mr. White.
Yeah, yes, ma'am. I'm not familiar with it also, but I would say that I think with the landfills and the we need to reduce those. Like I said, if you look around the county, from what I read and did my research, we're taking trash from other counties and putting it in our landfills. And if you look at the landfills, they're in predominantly African American communities, and we need to reduce that. Like I said, I'm not familiar with the plan, but I am familiar with the landfills, and that's an issue that's affecting our drinking water. Where there's a recent study as a couple of years ago where there's plastics in our water, and we need to combat that. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Okay, Mr. Alera.
Yes, Ms. Johnson, I am not familiar with that plan, but I would just like to say if that plan is one that is in the best interest of the people, meaning the resident of the county, and that they were part of that decision-making process, and it's something that the people decided on and wanted, is one I would certainly support. But in terms of specific plan, I am not familiar with it.
Thank you, sir. Mr. Iyambo.
Thank you, Ms. Johnson.
Thank you, sir.
Personally, not familiar with the Environmental Justice Commission plan, but all I would say is that as we grow as a county, the most educated African American county in America, probably the world, we should be very, very aware of our carbon footprint on Earth. And policy should be done in such a way that we can strategically reduce greenhouse gases by developing friendly buildings to a friendly environment, encouraging people to actually, I think Mr. Frazier talked about bike lanes and making things a whole lot more environmentally friendly. We should invest more on recycling and make sure that, we can actually educate more people, because one of the main issues about the county council is that there's a total disconnect. So this information might be out there, just like Council Member Hawkins was saying, but people are not really aware of it. So there should be a real structure for dissemination of information to the average Prince Georgian. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, we started that question with Mr. Franklin. We will start the next question, which is number 4, with
You
Mr.
skipped me on that
Frazier.
question, but it's fine.
I beg your pardon?
You skipped me on that question.
Who's speaking? I'm sorry.
Rudy Anthony.
I'm so very sorry, sir. And I did not put an X beside your name. I beg your pardon. Go right ahead.
No problem at all. So I don't know much about the commission. I know it's something that came out of Annapolis, and there are partner members on that commission, which include members of our county council. But I agree with most of the other candidates on here that we need. I'm glad that they finally moved the climate action plan out of committee because the environment is something that I've been hearing about along with crime. And, I think they just kind of go hand in hand when we talk about business development. So, yes, follow through with the climate action plan and actually prioritize it so that we can continue economic development, bring jobs, cut into crime, and, grow our gorgeous Prince George's County. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. And please accept my apology.
No problem.
The next question, number 4. Question number 4 is about affordable housing. And actually, I'm sitting here trying to choose between two. And the one I am going to choose states, what plans do you have in place or that you will recommend to help citizens with foreclosures? I'm sorry, that is question number 4. And the first person who will answer number 4 is Mr. Frazier.
Thank you so much for the question. As I noted in my beginning, I spent my last 2 years of law school representing people going through the foreclosure process. I held their hand as they was going through maybe one of the most painful moments of their lives, and it's an idea that's so important to me. I think one of the things that we need to do is we finally have an affordable, housing trust fund, right? And the county needs to explore using that fund to buy foreclosed homes so we don't have blight housing as a way to allow people to stay inside their homes, right? That's a new policy proposal that hasn't fully been flushed out, but that's one idea I have. In general, I think we can expand affordable housing by increasing the housing supply, working with community land trusts, and trying to model some of those community land trusts after the Greenbelt GHI homes. That actually limits the amount of equity you can have on your home. So for some people, it's not the greatest tool of wealth building, but by limiting that equity, it actually allows those homes to be more affordable, right? So you're not priced out of the housing market. So it's just an option for people that want to have affordable homes. Thank you so much for the question.
Thank you for answering. The next person to answer will be Mr. Hawkins, please.
Ms. Johnson, we are well on our way in Prince George's County working with how we're going to deal with foreclosure homes through the American Rescue Act. There was funding made available that we are using to work with our residents who are going through that. The funding has been given to not only our some of our nonprofits to assist, but we're working every day, and some money was placed in our budget this year, the $5 billion budget, the people's budget, to ensure that we help. And of course, the overwhelming number of individuals who are going through foreclosure is just baffling. But at the same time, we're working to commit to helping them as much as we can through the funding that's available. And you will continue to see efforts in that regard. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Hawkins. Mr. White?
Yes, ma'am. I think last month there's maybe 1,500 people going through foreclosure right now in Prince George's County. And right now, the main cause of affordable housing is a severe lack of affordable rental homes for America's lowest income, people with low income. We need to write legislation putting rent caps, a limit on how much rent could be raised over a year, and a mandated percentage of all new apartments that rented out to folks in the lower income brackets. Next, there needs to be a statewide referendum on investors purchasing residential single family homes, meaning that buyers must live in the home at least 6 months out of the year to ensure that they're not just buying the houses up and using them as a way to gain income. Next, the county must partner with Habitat for Humanity and other nonprofits to prepare rundown properties and sell those properties at a fair price to low-income buyers. That should be a start. Thank you.
Thank you. The next person, Mr. Anthony.
Yes. So again, I agree with candidate White about just affordable rentals. when people are going through foreclosure. I think another thing would be to, I was reading up on a California Senate bill where there was a cap on property taxes. And I think we should definitely model that in helping people going through foreclosures. Again, we should also work with our state partners to make renting more affordable here in the area. Because again, low income persons can't afford the rent here. And of course, our most vulnerable are seniors. We should definitely look into tax incentives for not only our homeowning seniors, but also our seniors who rent, because they are our most vulnerable. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Mr. Elira?
Yes, I think the issue with foreclosure, firstly, I'd like to say, it's certainly sad and unfortunate to have a person purchase your home, your dream home, and then having to go through financial difficulties which cause you to potentially lose that home. I can only imagine. But I think we need relief funds in place to assist homeowners going through foreclosure, that would assist with right of redemption or repayment plans to allow them to the opportunity to, redeem their home, to maintain and keep their homes. And the other thing I think that would assist in the first place in the onset is to lower property tax. If we lower property tax and stop raising taxes continually and constantly, then obviously the issue of foreclosure will not occur. So I think that's one thing we need to focus on, at least explore to do as well.
Thank you. Mr. Inyambo?
Yes, thank you, Ms. Johnson.
Yes, sir.
First, we got to give people 5 more days to pay their rent in Prince George's County. Why do we pay rent on the 5th? I mean, the rent is so damn high, you got to give people at least 5 days to pay on the 10th, just like Montgomery County does. And that's a policy issue that we should address immediately. I thought this could have been addressed during the pandemic, but I guess the council dropped the ball. Second part I'm going to talk about, I want to agree with candidate White and Antonio about housing issue. And this comes down to foreclosed houses in the county. I think we need to get a plan to be able to provide closing cost help for teachers, lawyers, firefighters, middle-class people in general to be able to afford houses. Houses in PG County are not cheap. And we need to be able to get policy through the county to help people afford some of these houses that are really strengthening our communities. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Franklin?
Thank you for the question. Obviously, I had the opportunity to serve on the county council during the housing crisis that happened in the beginning of the Obama administration. So this is an issue that I'm very familiar with and have encountered a lot of our fellow residents who met the tough difficulty of going through foreclosure. Critically, I want to make it clear, we're talking about foreclosure, not eviction. A lot of folks have been addressing rent. That's eviction. Foreclosure is when you own the home and you lose your home. So let's be clear what we're talking about. But in terms of that issue, I do think we need a couple of things. One, I think for our most modest income residents, we need a basic income program for working families. We need to create a local supplement to the earned income tax credit to provide additional resources and relief for our residents that are most low income. And then I think we also need to have a mortgage down payment assistance program for our most modest income residents so that we are creating an opportunity to get back into home ownership for those who've lost their home. So we have a number of things we can do, and we have a number of proposals that I hope we can discuss further. Thank you.
Thank you. Let's do an open-ended question since we had one trick question in here that everybody can answer. How will you personally demonstrate your commitment to serve the community in the best interest of its citizens? That is the first question will be answered by Mr. Hawkins. This is question number 5.
Question number 5, Ms. Johnson, is right down my lane. For the last 3.5 years and the 17 years before that, that's all I've been doing is serving this community at its best interest. When I go around the 499 square miles with Councilmember Franklin, we're out there touching homes. I go in the seniors. Right before I came on this call, I was helping someone with a foreclosure issue. I was with the seniors last week dealing with some issues they were facing in their senior place. That's what I do. My track record is a public service record of serving people. I didn't affectionately get the name the People's Champ because someone thought I was Muhammad Ali. They got me for the service I've been involved in. And so I'm grateful for the opportunity that you asked me that question, and I was able to lead off. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Hawkins. The next person to answer that question will be Mr. White.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Hawkins. You, like I said, I'm not even gonna hate you. Do a good job, man. Like I said, let's put it out there. Like I said, I've served my country for nearly 30 years, and I want to serve the residents of Prince George's County. One of the core values of the military is service before self, and I'm a stickler for that. You know, that hits hard with me. Like I said, my goal is to, you know, just be there for the residents. If you need a street light change, I want to be the person to help you get that street light change. Like if you need assistance with your foreclosure, I want to give you all the right tools to help you through that process. Like I said, if you're a veteran, you need assistance on what programs are out there for you. I want to be that person for you. Like I said, I just want to be there for the people, serve the people, and do what's best for the people. Thank you.
Thank you so much. The next person for that question, well, you all know who's up next, but I'll say it anyway. All right, Mr. Anthony.
Yes, ma'am. So I've always dedicated myself to just the community and people. I mean, you know, at just 18 years old, I decided to join the Marine Corps because I wanted to, you know, do a public good. And I just kind of had that instilled with me my whole life. From volunteering at my church, New Macedonia Baptist Church over in Southeast DC, engaging in Toys for Tots, volunteering at Martha's Kitchen, you know, giving food to the homeless. Anytime that I can help, I do, especially for the kids. I come out to, you know, all my nieces and nephews' football games, help the coaches out. I'm always at my daughter's school when we were allowed in the schools, you know, helping them out. So, and I'm always the guy in the family, in my friend group. Hey, you need something, give me a call. I'll make sure it happens. And that's what I'll do on the county council. I'm that guy. I will run a constituent service that is like no other you've ever seen, except for maybe Calvin Hawkins. But, you know, thank you, guys.
Ms. Johnson, you're muted.
I'm the one who's muted. Thank you. Mr. Alara.
Yes, can you repeat the question, please?
I certainly can. Give me just 2 seconds here. It is question number 5. And it's our open-ended question. How will you demonstrate your commitment to serve the community in the best interest of its citizens?
Sure. Ms. Johnson, for me, what drive me and push me to become an attorney is, you know, really my desire to help people. I've always looked at myself as a public servant. It truly pleases me knowing that I'm doing something that makes a positive difference in somebody's life. It's truly thrilling. And that's the other reason what would propel me to want to run for this position. For me, if it's God's will and I'm elected in the county council, I would certainly have, you know, potlucks, invite the community to bring bread with me, to get to know me. And then if they call me in the office, you know, we're going to answer the phone. We're not going to, you know, be neglectful of the people once we get in the office. And we gonna any decision making that's being made, I want to make sure that people put up their process as well. So invite them to hear what they have to say, and then take that into consideration and execute on their behalf. And I'm gonna act in the best interest of the people, because I understand that in a true democracy, the people is the one with the power, and I'm there to serve them. They're not there to serve me. I'm serving them. So that's always will be the main interest in the forefront.
Thank you. Mr. Yayambo?
Yes, thank you, Ms. Johnson. Well, I will make sure that every decision that I make will be in the best interests of the average Prince Georgian. And I will also make sure that if I have any conflict of interest, which I don't think I will, they will not be a part of it. I will make sure that if there's any inkling of improprieties, I will not be part of it. And I will make sure that every decision that is made will be made wholeheartedly for the citizens of Prince George's County. And unlike Council Member Hawkins, I can't beat Muhammad Ali being a people person, but you can invite me to any potluck. I will make sure if I have the time, I will be there. I will have forums around the county. I will try to stop by and see any constituents that have any concerns of any kind. And I will make sure every decision that is made will be absolutely and totally transparent. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Franklin?
Thank you for the question, particularly because I think I got caught up by that trick question more than anybody else. I do, public service is the calling of my life. I think God puts us all here for a purpose, and it certainly is mine. It's good public service isn't easy, but it's extremely rewarding. So I plan to do a lot of what I've done even better. People know that when they contact me, I get solutions. I know all the agencies. I know how to get to the right person at any agency, to get to the right challenge, to get to the right solution for our residents. Residents call me about potholes. They call me about permitting issues. They call me about issues big and small, and I still get results because, one, it's my passion to be responsive and to serve them, but also the experience that I've had over the last 12 years gives me the knowledge base to know how to solve those issues. So I'll continue to do that, and I'll try to do it even better than I've done in the past. Thank you for the question.
Thank you. Mr. Frazier?
I've spent my entire life doing public service. While I was a student at Howard, I helped organize other college students to go down to Annapolis to help repeal the death penalty. When I was in law school, I spent my time representing low-income tenants and people going through foreclosure. When I graduated, my classmates that went to big fancy law firms had a starting salary of $180,000 a year. And my starting salary at the public defender's office was only $60,000 a year. A blessing, a good middle-class lifestyle. But I've given up hundreds of thousands of dollars in order to pursue public service and to serve people with my skills that I've gotten through my education. And that's what I'm going to do on the county council. I'm running for county council at large because the people deserve a county council that listens and that takes your thoughts and inputs in consideration in determining policy. So thank you for the question.
Thank you. All right, now we're moving on to question number 6. Prince George's has numerous abandoned schools. What are your plans to develop these properties? That question goes to Mr. White as the first one.
First, the county already has a plan in place. Like I said, you're going to hear Mr. Franklin and Mr. Hawkins talk about the P3 plan and building schools. But there's 4 problems with Prince George's County schools that we need to take care of first. We need to acknowledge and focus on the overcrowding, make funding for schools a main concern, and address the school to prison pipeline and raise the pay for teachers. But with this P3 program, we're going to see how it works out, and if it works out, good. We'll continue with that plan. And also, like I said, whatever money we have, have left, and have over, we need to focus on rebuilding those schools and, making them up to par, so our students can have an effective and meaningful learning place. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. The next person to answer that question, Mr. Anthony, please.
Yes. So yes, there's already a plan in place, and long as that plan does address overcrowding and the facility issues that our schools much need better development at, long as it addresses that, and I'm all here for it. But just in general with abandoned buildings, I think that we really need to address repurposing these buildings and working with our community partners and our municipality leaders and what we repurpose these buildings for. Because, you know, again, if we want to clean up our environment and beautify the county, that's one of the things we should do. And that's kind of the short and simple answer to it. Thanks.
Thank you. Mr. Alara?
Yes, Ms. Johnson, we need to obviously improve and these old structured buildings. We need to renovate them, obviously. And as far as the abandoned buildings, we need to listen. Studies have shown obviously smaller classrooms work. So we need to build more schools and then improve the ones we do have. And then as far as abandoned buildings, we need to build more boys and girls clubs. It needs to be in conjunction with the public school system. DC is doing an outstanding job. And then what that does is these boys and girls clubs are not simply there to assist these children with doing their homework, but we need to focus on financial literacy, study abroad programs, and teach them certain skills, you know, visit different colleges and universities. And we need more mentorship programs, because there's a quote that says that the devil tempts all others, but the idol tempts the devil. So our children cannot remain idle. They have to stay busy. They have something to do. So I think, you know, these initiatives have to be more focused to ensure that these buildings are not just sitting there laying around. We got to make use of them.
Thank you, sir. Following him will be Mr. Yamba.
Thank you, Ms. Johnson. I think that there's already a plan, and like I think it's candidate White that said that Councilmember Franklin and Councilmember Hawkins will have a lot to talk about. So really that's out of my purview for now because I'm not yet been elected. But what I would like to put in is that we need to be able to upgrade our schools. We need to be able to work with the school board to be able to update our curriculum. We need to be able to import and recruit well-experienced and teachers that need to take us to the 21st century. And we need to utilize all the technology tools that we have in our schools to be able to make our students prepare for the challenging world. We also need to make sure that some of these issues with the building are addressed right away, because you don't want buildings hanging around for too long. You want stuff that should be used. And if a community has a use for a structure, like Mr. Lara says, they should use it. And if they want to use it as a, you know, community center or something, they should use it that way. The building is not outright vacant. But since there's already a plan, that's kind of out of my purview. So thank you.
Thank you, sir. He will be followed by Mr. Franklin.
Thank you for the question. You know, as a public school dad, issues about infrastructure in our schools are personal to me, and a son educator, so I have it on both ends. The question was about abandoned school buildings, and certainly with abandoned school buildings, you know, where the school system and the county actually decides whether to surplus them. I think we should look at the condition of the building. Each building needs to be assessed to ensure, is it reusable? Can we have an adaptive reuse? If we can, then I think partnering with nonprofits to provide community-based services makes a whole lot of sense, particularly in areas that during the 8 years of the Baker administration, we called the T&I areas, which were our highest areas of need. And they were a big reason how we were able to reduce crime. So I think partnering with nonprofits in those areas to provide community-based services, mental health, social services, and the like, I think makes a lot of sense. I do appreciate the comments about the P3 program. I think it's something that Councilmember Hawks and I had a great opportunity to be a part of, and we're going to continue forth with to build the 21st century schools our kids deserve. Thank you.
Thank you. After Mr. Franklin, we'll have Mr. Frazier, please.
You know, my mom has been a teacher for almost 30 years over in Montgomery County. She reminds me she's 18 months from retirement, but you know, the education issues are always super important for me, given how I was raised and my background. I think it's a tough time coming out of COVID, but we also have a lot of opportunity because of stimulus dollars passed by the Biden administration, given to the states and given to the localities. We have extra dollars, right? So some of those dollars can be used to look at some of these abandoned schools, and maybe some of them we need to repurpose them, or even we can build new schools in those areas. But some of those properties, we can maybe work with nonprofits and build affordable housing. We can increase the amount of urban farms or community gardens that we have, and even work with other nonprofits on potential rec centers. I think in general, having these schools being used as community hubs is a good thing. It's the abandoned school, even our current schools. And I think the blueprint for Maryland schools discuss increasing the amount of community schools we have so that we can address all the concerns that community members have, not just the concerns that impact them in the classroom. So thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Hawkins.
Thank you for this opportunity. Abandoned school buildings belongs to the school system until they turn them back to the county. And once they turn them back to the county, we can look at what to do with them. One example of how we have tried to be innovative, and it depends on how old the schools are as well. But one way we try to be innovative as a council, working with the county exec and the public school system, over there at Linden Hills off Old Central Avenue, that was a vacant school that was returned to the county and placed in surplus property. We used half of it to allow work with the town of Capitol Heights to have their police department over there. Mission of Love is moving over. That's a place for homeless and other needs the community have. And there will be a floor with other nonprofits will be able to have office space in there. And that's just being innovative in the time that we need to be. So that's an example how I've worked with this council to use vacant schools. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. All right, that was question 6, and this is probably going to be our last question because we are very pressed for time, but we'll get this one in. Crime numbers have spiked locally and nationally. How will you respond as a county-wide legislative leader in Prince George's? Any particular laws, ideas? What are your goals in terms of this issue?
And I apologize, Ms. Johnson, who do you begin with?
Mr. Anthony.
All right. So again, as I've been going around this county talking to different residents, the largest thing I hear about is crime. And how do you fight crime? Well, it takes time and it's a multifaceted effort. You can't just over police a problem and think it'll go away. We have to address our schools and make sure that we are developing the adults, these young adults who will be out here, who have to survive in our county, who are unfortunately have the biggest population of offenders committing these crimes or supposedly committing these crimes. 2, we have to create economic development. How do we do that? The climate action plan is a great way to do that because you want to attract businesses by saying that they have a clean environment and a safe environment to start or secure their business. So again, to fight crime in the county, we have to use every agency and every resource possible and attack everything all at once. You're not, and more than less, have a community relationship with our police force. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Sam Alera.
Yes, crime is obviously an issue that affects all of us. And I don't think that we'll be able to eradicate the crime element completely, but we can certainly do things that can assist with lessening it. One of the things we can do is, work with the police chiefs to impress upon them the importance of community policing. And when I say community policing, I'm not simply saying let's send a whole bunch of police officers patrol the streets, but it looks like, having the officers, be a part of the community with which they patrol, and have the officers have such a relationship with the community where the community know the officer, and the police departments have, certain community engagement, potlucks, invite the public, come and forums and just so that they can feel comfortable and trust with the police. And that way, when the crime is committed, guess what? the people will feel more comfortable to speak with the police and inform them what's going on. The other thing is, I think there's a connection between mental health and crime. So we have to provide resources to have folks, seek diagnosis and treatment for mental health issues. And part of my plan with respect to the school system is to have a mandatory mental health class in the school system in conjunction with counseling, so that students can be taught how to deal with trauma, cope with stress, and make better decision making, which will lessen the delinquency issue.
Thank you. Your time has expired. Mr. Iyamo?
Thank you very much, Ms. Johnson. I think we have to understand that the world is evolving and policing is evolving, and we need to evolve. The police department, the idea of catch and, cop and robbers, that's gone. We need to be able to build solid roots in the communities, and we need to work with schools to be able to make sure that students have something doing during the summer. That's why it's essential that we revamp our educational system, so that if these kids are not in school, they can be studying something like Python during the summer to be able to get real internships, so that we can be able to keep them busy so that they don't get involved in crime. We also have to revamp the police department too, by also including some mental health services, social workers, and mental health counselors, so that some of these calls can be addressed by some of these people. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Mr. Franklin.
Thank you for the question. And I do want to echo something that a previous candidate said. When crime is a big challenge, it destabilizes every other issue, and you have to get it under control. We confronted this when I first joined the county council in the end of 2010, the beginning of 2011. We had almost a murder a day in that first month of 2011. And what happened was, what came out of that experience was that we created the Transforming Neighborhoods Initiative. And it was a proactive way to identify the 6 and eventually grew to 9 most challenged areas in the county when you look at the statistics, and target those areas with extra resources: human, social services, public safety resources, economic workforce development resources. In a way, partnering with the community, partnering with nonprofits. And the result was that we reduced crime by over 50% and violent crime by over even higher numbers. That's the kind of approach we need. We also need a second chance agenda, where we create incentives for employers to hire returning citizens. We eliminate the barriers for returning citizens in terms of their convictions, preventing them to get jobs. So we reduce repeat offenses.
Thank you. Mr. Frazier.
One of my main platform points is enhancing public safety by creating public health first responders. Because right now our police officers they respond to shootings and carjackings, as well as Johnny's outside shirtless. We can send a behavioral health specialist, right, a paramedic and a nurse to focus on Johnny, get him maybe the mental health treatment he needs, help him sign up for Medicaid. And then our police officers can respond to the violent offenses that are most endangering the community. Because right now they're stretched too thin. We also need to work with our Department of DPI, permits and inspections, because there's a study out of New York City that looked at if you added street lights to certain high crime neighborhoods, they did study, it actually decreased crime. So we need to identify some of these communities where there's crime, because at night it comes dark, there's no one in the street, and then those homes or those cars being parked are targets for a crime. And then lastly, we need to think about expanding some of youth jobs, but also working with the school system and potentially waiving the $200 fee for summer school, right? Because there are people that benefit from that program, and I think our youth would benefit having something productive to do during their summers instead of being idle hands and the devil's plaything. So thank you so much.
Thank you for your response. Mr. Frazier. Mr. Hawkins.
Thank you. I worked with the county council as we worked with the county executive to find a police chief that had a background in community policing. Chief Malik Aziz came from Texas, and he's recognized throughout the country as a community policing leader. And in reading Indoctrination Against Violence Orientation by a former police officer, Dr. Noel Walters, we are working to see how best to support the police department on how they're fighting crime. It's a national trend. I want all the candidates to know and your audience to know, just tomorrow morning, we are receiving an orientation from our chief of police on what's going on with the crime issues in the county. And lastly, we're going into executive session so they can discuss how they plan to deal with those issues from a strategic standpoint. We're working for the citizens to help deal with the crime issue. Thank you.
Thank you. And now we're at the end of our program.
Hey, ma'am.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Yeah,
I'm so eager to get you all out of here on time.
Yeah,
Absolutely, Mr. White, go right ahead. I beg your pardon.
Yeah. Yes, ma'am. Thank you. Appreciate it. Like I said, the problem right now is our police are stretched thin. The previous budget, they were missing maybe $21 million, but the new budget seemed to taking care of that. Our police need license plate cameras. Like I said, majority of our crime right now is carjackings, and if we can just invest maybe $2,700 in buying these license plate cameras, that should reduce the carjackings. And if we put one at each of our main roads, that should take care of a lot of things. Next, like I said, Mr. Hawkins mentions community-based policing. The bridge between our police and the inner city has been broken. We need a way to rebuild that relationship. And once we do that, we can see changes. And hotspot policing, we need to use our statistical data of where our hotspots for crime is located, and put police in those areas with increased lighting, tear down those abandoned buildings in those areas where crime can happen, and we should see a reduction in crime by doing this. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. And now we come to our closing statements. Each person will be allocated 60 seconds, 1 minute, uninterrupted, to make a closing statement. And we will start with Mr. Sam Alera.
Thank you, Ms. Johnson. And again, as indicated in the beginning, I appreciate the opportunity to be here to have this forum and discussion. Look, my plan is simple. For me, I want to improve our roads, lower property tax, invest in our education system. That means give raise teachers pay, give teachers tax incentives, because we're losing a lot of valuable teachers to our neighboring counties like Anne Arundel County, Montgomery County, and DC. And you pay for what you get. And I don't think the issue with our education system is one hat fits all, but I think part of the issue is not paying our teachers their sufficient due in terms of pay. We need to invest in our small businesses here in the county, because that way then we can continue employing residents of the county. We need to give incentives to other businesses to come and invest and operate in the county. That way our money can circulate and folks don't have to leave the county for certain things. So in short, that's what I want to do. I'm passionate and concerned about what it is I want to do. And July 19th during the primary, and even prior to that, July 7th through July 14th, vote Sam E. Lyra for County Councilman at large, Prince George's County, the voice of the people. We want to shake things up, take back the government, bring it back to the people. That's what we want to do. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. The next person for a closing statement, Mr. Iyambo.
Thank you very much, Ms. Johnson, and thank you, the League of Women Voters. I have a 15-minute one. Okay. Thank you very much, Ms. Johnson, and thank you to the League of Women Voters for having us, and thank you for my candidates to take the time to come and share their ideas in this forum. I'm running because I just feel that a lot of people in the county feel left behind. They feel not being part of the decisions that the county is making. And if you were one of those people, join me on July 19th in voting Leo B. Iyambo for County Council at Large. You can also get to my website at www.voteforleoiyambo.com. And if you are yearning for change in the county, you want new ideas and new blood, I would humbly ask for your vote on July 19th. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. Mr.
And I'm
Franklin.
sorry I have to go. I'm sorry I have another engagement.
That's fine, sir. Mr. Franklin?
Thank you again, Gloria and the League of Women Voters. I truly appreciate tonight's conversation. A couple of weeks ago, I announced the Empower Prince George's agenda. So go to www.empowerprincegeorges.com. I think throughout the years I've been a county council member, I've been all about ideas and innovation. I believe experience leads to better ideas. I really believe that. I think that's true in other professions, and I think it's true here in government and service. I do want to mention, because it's only 60 seconds, so I want to mention one thing, a bit of news. Councilmember Calvin Hawkins and I are about to give every senior who has a home and is living in that home for at least 10 years, and the home is $500,000 or less in value, we're about to give them a tax cut, $2,500 per year for the next 5 years. That's also part of the Empower Prince George's agenda. So we're not waiting to get things done for the people. We're doing them just as we speak. So that public hearing is tomorrow. We're going to pass that bill, and we're going to give every senior in those circumstances a tax cut. Thank you, and great to be with you tonight.
Thank you for your closing statement, Mr. Hawkins.
I believe I was skipped. That was Stanford Frazier speaking.
I'm sorry. Yes, you're right. After Mr. Franklin comes Mr. Frazier.
Oh,
Thank you, sir.
no problem. And thank you for having us tonight. And thank you to the League of Women Voters for hosting this forum. My website is just my name, stanfordfrazier.com, where you can, read my full platform, sign up to volunteer. And I'm not begging, but I'll take some donations as well. I'm running because I believe we can create a better Prince George's County, right, with a county council that listens. And that's what I'm going to do. So check out my website. Remember, bubble in, Stanford Frazier. You can bubble up to 2, but I won't be mad if you just bubble 1. And I hope you guys have a good evening.
Thank you, sir. Mr. Hawkins?
Thank you for this opportunity. My friends, you have an opportunity on July the 19th, July the 5th through July the 7th through the 12th, even with your mail-in ballots, to vote for individuals who have made this county better than we found it. Councilmember Franklin and I have been in the most troublesome of times when you talk about the sequestration, COVID-19. Who do you want representing and serving you as we move forward? Individuals who have been on the battlefield fighting for the last 3.5 years, or individuals who just have great ideas but haven't really participated in how we get there, haven't participated in any county meetings or anything that will move us forward. Great ideas. I look forward to working with all the candidates as we move forward, because we're going to make Prince George's County better. And to all the colleagues that are on this call, thank you for investing in a better Prince George's County with your ideas.
Thank you, Mr. Hawkins. Mr. White?
Thank you. Like I said, thanks for having me. Like I said, being a county councilman is a hard job, and I think I'm ready for it. Mr. Hawkins mentioned battlefield. Yes, I've deployed and been on the battlefield, and I know what it takes to get the job done for the good of the county. That's the basis of my campaign and the reason for my candidacy. I care about Prince George's County. I just want to be a part of the solutions to fix our problems. So, like I said, if you're okay with having the grass 6 feet tall, that's the reason why I haven't bought campaign signs. You can't even see them. If you're happy with crime, continue. Vote for the incumbents, and that should solve a lot of things. But if you want something different, please take a look at the new candidates. We got fresh ideas, like Mr. Hawkins said, Mr. Franklin said. We got fresh ideas, and you want new blood. Like I said, take a chance on the other guys. Like I said, if you look at the voting records of the incumbents, they voted 99% of across the board together. So if you want fresh ideas and new blood, take a chance on the new guys. Thank you. Have a good day.
Thank you all for your participation today. It was a absolute.
Ms. Johnson, you forgot about
Mr.
me.
Anthony?
Yes, ma'am.
I'm sorry.
No problem at all. So I'm Rudy D. Anthony, and I'm running to be your county council at large because I do have a fresh vision for Prince George's County, and I care about the county. I like to call myself Prince George's son because I've been here and I became the dream that we all go to live. I lived in Temple Hills in lower middle class living, and then I moved to Bowie and bought a home. And that's the vision that we should have for every resident and every child that lives here in Prince George's. Again, the reason for running is because I saw a downturn in that quality of living. That is reflected by what we have in our leaders in our government. You want to see that change? Vote for those with the new ideas and that 21st century vision, which is me, Rudy D. Anthony. Vote Anthony on July 19th. Thank you.
I want to thank all 7 of the candidates for County at large for coming to the forum tonight and giving us the opportunity to educate the voters. Those who serve in elective office offer to the community a willingness to work, to give of their time, to take responsibility. And these are traits for which the League of Women Voters has the utmost respect. We thank the candidates for your willingness to serve. This concludes our program. I want to thank you for your participation here this evening, and we applaud you for coming forth and being willing to accept the responsibility for what we consider a critically important legislative law-making function. Now, I'll share with you something about your one vote. Lots of people sit home and they don't vote. But if I told you that in 1776, one vote gave America the English language instead of German, or if I told you that in 1845, one vote brought Texas into the Union, or if in 1923, one vote gave Adolf Hitler leadership in the Nazi Party, would that get your attention? Of course it gets your attention, but I'm glad these statements are not true. But whether they're true or not, I got your attention. And while I have your attention, I'm going to ask you to please vote in this primary election and every election that you can. People lost their lives for the right to vote. And all you have to do is either mail in your ballot or go touch a computer screen. We always say in the League of Women Voters, voting is not a spectator sport. Take an active role and please get out and vote. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Have a good day.
Thank you, sir.
I love those pictures on the back of your wall, especially the ones of the drawings of you look like little kids.